YouTube, once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast. We're talking Auburn football. Down in the Deep South, college football is king, and the battle cry on the plains of Auburn is War Eagle. There are a lot of moving parts to this college football offseason now that you add the transfer portal as an element and you have coaches kind of moving around. This is set up to be a very pivotal offseason for college football. Here's what I need you to do. I need you to like the video or dislike it. You can do whatever you want. Also, I want you to leave in the comments what you think about some of the things we talk about here on Vernon Speak Sports Auburn. We got a Thursday night video, car cast, so to speak, because I'm out and about. But I wanted to talk about this because I think it's so important that folks understand the concept of, and as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger War Eagle, just in case I didn't say that. But I think fans, have to understand the concept that this, just because changes could possibly come about, doesn't mean that there's a knock to any coach or a knock to any situation. It means that through the transfer portal, the contracts with the coaches at Auburn from the beginning had some kind of leeway, especially if you took a job somewhere else, to where it wouldn't be financially detrimental. I think that's how we got to think about this. We got to think about fit. We got to think about what's best for the individual coach and for the program. Now, to start with, I'm not going to put out there that Derek Mason has taken any position anywhere, but he is appearing to be emerging as a candidate for the defensive coordinator position at Oklahoma State. A lot of folks will think, well, why would he make a lateral move to Oklahoma State and leave Auburn? Auburn's a good program, but at the same time, Oklahoma State's a good program too. Derek Mason has moved around. He has a lot of experience. He has a lot of connections, and it's an honor to even have him as defensive coordinator at Auburn with his NFL experience, his experience at Stanford, which was the paramount of his career so far, and did some really great things at Auburn. And maybe if he stays, we'll continue to do some good things. You talk about teams averaging under 22 points a game with Derek Mason. Also, not allowing a lot of running yards. I think the pinnacle of his time at Auburn was the latter part of the season, where he held some really good teams that were capable of scoring to menial points, albeit the game against Mississippi State, where that was an epic collapse. But then you think about teams like Arkansas, you think about teams like Mississippi State, you think about teams like Alabama, you think about teams like Houston, who had success moving the football and putting points on the board. I'll just say that Derek Mason did his part to put Auburn in a position to be successful, even in the Penn State game, allowing 28 points. But I mean, I think considering the beginning of the season, I think he did a pretty good job. Even there, he was a solid defensive coordinator. A lot of confusing stuff that he did, though. I mean, at times, just in watching the defense, it was kind of hard to watch at times because you didn't know what folks' roles were. It looks like he was trying to put some different people in different spots to see what could possibly happen. My main guy that I just didn't understand his consistent role was Smoke Monday in the defense this year. I think Smoke Monday obviously did a decent job. He's always battled with the targeting penalties and, a little goofy stuff like that. But overall, Smoke Monday is a very tenacious football player and wants to be successful. I don't know. I wish I did. I don't know what Derek Mason's next move is going to be. I do think he did add value to the defense. I think they did a great job of recruiting to piece together a defense that could compete in the SEC in 2021. They did a great job of that. They continued, especially at the defensive line position, continue to recruit and do well and perform very well even in 2021. One of the low points that made things a little difficult schematically for Derek Mason was the injury to Owen Popo. I think that was really lethal because you have young linebackers trying to understand this 3-4 this this scheme that Derek Mason have. A lot of schematics, a lot of conceptualism in Derek Mason's look. And it can be confusing to the right out of high school eye. And you have to be super talented, and you have to be a very cerebral kid in the game, almost to a pro football type level, to understand the schematics. Because in high school, you kind of react and read, so to speak. You don't do a lot of reading, a lot of schematics, and because the game moves so fast, you don't have time to read. But there's a lot of schematics with Derek Mason, a lot of conceptualism with Derek Mason that could even lead a head coach to believe that, well, maybe we might not be able to get the type of players that we need to be ultimately successful with this level of schematic. Not that it's bad, but with the type of players that we need to compete against the type of the teams that we're going to play against that are going to recruit better than we do. I mean, we can like and love this stuff all we want to, and we can even hate it. But LSU, Georgia, and Alabama Texas A&M are consistently going to recruit a little bit at a higher level than Auburn. And that just is what it is. That's always been the case in the SEC. Auburn has always been in a position to where they're not like Ole Miss and Mississippi State. Auburn has to compete against LSU, Georgia, Alabama, Texas A&M every year. And simplifying the schematics and being able to attract the type of players that can compete on a week in and week out in a system that makes sense to them may be the better solution. I don't know. I hope Derek Mason doesn't leave. I really like his presence. But we will see in the coming weeks, or hell, in the next couple of days, whether Derek Mason takes on the role that he's currently in now at Oklahoma State. Not a bad job at all. Oklahoma State finds themselves in the top 15, top 10, competes in the Big 12. The Big 12 is going to make the shift pretty soon, where Texas and Oklahoma is going to take their show to the SEC, which is going to be interesting in and of itself. But let me know what you think. Like the video, comment, and subscribe to Vernon Speaks Sports. Auburn, we're back at it again. We're going to start cranking these videos up, especially as Auburn is starting to emerge as one of the best basketball teams in the country. And with Auburn basketball, this is not smoke and mirrors now. This is a legitimately good basketball team. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. Good backcourt. Definitely a good front court. I think they play very well in the paint, and they're very diverse in the things that they're able to do against some of the top tier teams in the country. All right, guys, like the video, comment, and subscribe to Vernon Speaks Sports. Auburn, we are back at it. And as always, it is incredible to be an Auburn Tiger. Don't panic about all the changes. War Eagle.